I almost didn't make a video today. I lost track of time. I got busy with so much stuff. But it's not like it's hard to find some nonsense to talk about. And what a better place to look than towards AOC, because this is just, yeah, AOC's not going to let you down at all. She hasn't let me down once before whenever I've seen anything that she's done. She's a liar through and through. I'm not like Tim Pool at all, where I'm going to forget everything that somebody's done before in their past. Tim Pool likes to say, well, I'll give credit where credit is due. It's like, no, absolutely not. They have to earn your trust, not lie 1 second and then take them as being honest and sincere the next, and then lie again and back and forth, back and forth. No, never. Screw that. You're being played. Anyways, this is just from Microsoft News. It's titled, AOC just revealed her dangerous constitutional illiteracy. At the end, I'm going to comment on what I think should go on with some of this stuff with politicians. If you like what I'm doing, thumbs up, subscribe. It helps with the algorithm. Do not ignore this. You don't make the system. If you like what I'm doing, then thumbs up and subscribe. YouTube does not care about you. I am trying to do something. I really need your help. I appreciate your support. And with the website that I'm going to build, I'm going to need more interaction. So I've talked about this with, like, the other day with the other video with the police and the shooting. Just watch the video to kind of recap that. But we have a system. You don't get to do what you want to do because you feel like you've been injustice in some way. We have a system so that we all know what to do. Life is too complicated. We wouldn't get anything done otherwise. I also have Patreon and Subscribestar. And let's go ahead and get into it. So let's go ahead and read this stupid thing. This is gonna. I hope it didn't make my nose bleed. I mean, my nose never bleeds, but something like this, it's AOC. If it was to ever happen, this would be it. Like every new member of Congress, Rep. AOC pledged to uphold the Constitution. Oh, did she? I don't think she did. I don't think she did at all. I don't even think she knows what it means. When she was sworn into office. But the socialist congresswoman's latest criticism of the Supreme Court reveals that she lacks even the most basic understanding of the document she promised to protect. Yes, I'm conflicted about this. I'm conflicted. I really am. I see the strength of just letting anybody run for office. There's a lot of strength from that. But at the same time, you're letting anybody run for office. How did this woman get to this position? I cannot for the life of me wrap my head around that at all. I take that back. I can't wrap around it whenever I think of good, honest people and a system that works. I can't wrap my head around it. Whenever I think about corruption and scandals and lying and manipulation, completely understand that. Anyways, AOC weighed in on the latest proposal from several prominent Democrats in Congress to pack the Supreme Court by adding four new Democrat-selected justices to the bench to skew its ideological balance in their party's favor. Oh, that's so cringy. No, that is not a reason to expand the Supreme Court. Are there reasons? There could be, but just to get what you want, that's not it. This proposal is disastrous and dangerous in and of itself. No, the proposal itself is not dangerous It is disastrous. It's because nothing's going to come from it. Is it dangerous? No. I think it is. It is a good learning tool. It is good to bring these things up since we don't have a good system in place with education. And so the only way that you can kind of educate yourself on these things is whenever something like this happens. I gotta get this thing out of here. I'm smelling gas off this. I'm working on a motor and had a little part in here. So it's not dangerous because there are plenty of other people in government who are competent, at least, so I don't think we're anywhere close to just spiraling downhill. I do think that it is something that it has been going on and it is going on, but it's gradual. It's not just a drop off a cliff. Yet the Congresswoman not only endorsed the plan to turn the Supreme Court into a rubber stamp, but essentially suggested that she doesn't believe the High Court should act as a check on Congress at all. How can you make that statement? How can you not understand the checks and balances? Especially someone in her position, especially a senator, a federal senator too. I mean, a state senator should know. Should a state senator know? Because they have the same setup, don't they? The same checks and balances? Yeah, they do. So, according to Fox News, so this is Microsoft, MSN. According to Fox News, AOC questioned why the justices can overturn laws that hundreds and thousands of legislators, advocates, and policymakers drew consensus on. Oh my gosh! She's actually right. They do that. They are not supposed to do that at all, and they do. They absolutely do. They're supposed to say, this is what the law is supposed to mean, and so that's how we're going to apply it. They do the opposite all the time. We don't care what the law means or what the Constitution means. This is the way that we're going to apply it. This was something that just was being talked about yesterday, or on this video I was watching yesterday with Jordan Peterson and Senator Mike Lee. And he gave a specific example of this. And so that the Supreme Court case of NRLB versus Jones and Laughlin Steel Company, decided on April 12, 1937, was one of these, where up to this point they had one definition of what intercommerce trade between the states meant, and then on that day they just decided to change it. And because of it, it created a spiraling downward trajectory of a bunch of nonsense. And you'd have to watch the video to go into it. He goes into it pretty well. But that is an example. You can look up that case and you can watch the video. It is season 4, episode 14 of the Jordan B. Peterson podcast. You know what? I'm going to pull it up. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to let him speak for a little bit.
All this started to change during the Great Depression, during Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal era. Initially, there was some resistance by the Supreme Court, but all of this changed. Our reading, our official interpretation of the Commerce Clause, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3, changed on one day in America. It's very seldom recognized in a Supreme Court decision that very few Americans even know anything about. It's called NLRB versus Jones and Laughlin Steel Company. It was decided on April 12, 1937. In that case, the Supreme Court concluded that Congress's power to regulate trade or commerce between the states with foreign nations and with Indian tribes not only meant interstate commercial transactions and regulation of interstate corridors of trade and things like that, but it also extended to the power to regulate any activity that is commercial in nature and that when replicated across every state, while local and intrastate by nature, has in the aggregate a substantial economic impact. Such that something as local as trade and labor laws or agricultural production, things like agriculture, labor, mining, and things like this that are economic but that occur in one state, had always been the bread and butter of as something that, if regulated by government, would be regulated by state authority and not federal. In that case, on that one day, April 12, 1937, the Supreme Court said, no, it's anything that's economic and has a substantial effect. Ever since then, Congress has enacted law after law federalizing all these issues: labor, manufacturing, agriculture, mining, and so forth. The Supreme Court has left basically a perpetually green light since that date. Since April 12, 1937, we've really had only 3 instances in which the Supreme Court has identified any act of Congress as outside Congress's legislative authority to regulate interstate and foreign trade.
This is going to make my nose bleed if I keep watching this. So again, this video, and I'll go ahead and put a link in the description down below, the Jordan B. Peterson podcast, season 4, episode 14, Senator Mike Lee, and they talk about other issues. They talk about how the executive branch, the president with his office, that they do this, that they do things that they're not constitutionally allowed to do. And an example of this are all of these other sub offices that he has, all of these people are put into positions of power that they're not elected by the people. The president just creates these things, fills them in with whatever people that he wants to, and it doesn't go through Congress. It's not to say that they're bad, it's to say that there's a right way and a wrong way to do it, and it's there for a reason, and it's so that you can't have one place get it all bloated up with power and into things that they're not supposed to. And so this is an example where the Supreme Court didn't do what they were supposed to. They left the door wide open, and it's just been a floodgate. So AOC's kind of right. AOC, something that I've noticed with her is that she does ask sometimes some good questions, because she asks kind of simple childlike questions. This is something that a senator should not be asking. This is something a senator should know. And, even if that means that the answer is, well, it's corruption or just flat out stupidity or whatever it is, she should know. She should have at least some kind of an idea. So let's see what else. So according to Fox News, AOC questioned why the justices can overturn laws that hundreds and thousands of legislators, advocates, and policies makers drew consensus on. That is a great question. That is a great question. It absolutely is a great question. And part of it is that the checks and balances are not in place like they should be. Perhaps they were, I'm going to say they were great back in the day. And things have just, because nothing is ever perfect, everything is doomed for failure. Everything, I don't care what it is. Well, I'm going to get into the end. At the end of this, I'll talk about some things that should happen to help with this. According to Fox News, okay, how much does the current structure benefit us? She asked. I don't think it does. It does and it doesn't. With these remarks, the Congresswoman misunderstands or rejects the very role of the Supreme Court plays in safeguarding our constitutional liberties. I will say, no, I'll say it for the end. She decries the fact that the judiciary can overrule elected policymakers, but that's exactly the point. No, they're not supposed to do that. They're not supposed to overrule policymakers. They're not supposed to overrule Congress. They can't do that. They're not supposed to. The reason we have a First Amendment, for example, is because your right to freedom of speech is supposed to be off limits. Yes, even for laws that hundreds and thousands of legislators, advocates, and policymakers drew consensus on. Oh, I didn't realize there was this much more. It's okay. In fact, the Supreme court's history is littered with examples in which laws enacted by democracy majorities were struck down by judges in robes to protect our freedoms. Here's just a few. In 54, Brown versus the Board of Education, the court ruled that racial segregation in public schools was unconstitutional, even if enacted through the democratic process. Oh, I'm going to pause for a moment because I know about this. Let me think on this. So it's been a while since I've reviewed anything on Brown versus the Board of Education. I do know that it was a complete failure, and it's simple. They've done things like this before. There was that Somerville experiment where they took these children from the inner city and took them out to camp, surrounded by teachers and educators with the intent of giving them a better education so then they could be more productive in society. And it backfired. They ended up being better criminals. That their life was still bad, and it's because they didn't do anything with morals and values, and they didn't explain anything about why you need to have a system and why you need to do your part instead of fighting with it. That you're supposed to fight it to change it, to have it be better, based off of something. That you just don't arbitrarily go out and change it because of feelings. And, with this, segregation is wrong, but you also just don't do something just because. This is something that the charter schools do, is that they don't segregate. They'll take kids, though, but they have to perform. Doesn't matter, black, white, Hispanic, whatever, you have to perform. And this is just a way that they're segregating, but instead of based off of your color, it's based off of your aptitude. And they do this for blind people and deaf people. They have schools specifically for the blind and for the deaf, and we need more. We need schools for students who are above average learners. We need schools for students who are average learners, and we need schools for students who are below average learners. We want all of them to be able to learn, and we want to be able to divide them up so then that way they can get the specialized care that fits them. And this isn't it. This isn't it at all. Anyways. In the 1989 case, Texas versus Johnson, the court ruled that even if a majority of voters want to ban flag burning, doing so is unconstitutionally restricted on the freedom of speech. So, that Texas versus Johnson, you can absolutely burn the flag. That cannot be illegal. That's exactly how the country was founded, was that we burned our flag, the British flag. We burnt that thing to the ground, to a crispy little cinder. Burn the flag. Burn the American flag. It is 100% American and patriotic. And it's because this is a nation based for the people. By the people, for the people. Not the government. If you hold that flag more sacred and above the people, you're wrong. That's what makes America great, is that you can and you should burn that flag. We are a nation based upon values, not politics, not politicians, not the government. We want representation. The British taxed us without representation, and we said, oh yeah, we got something for you then. And then this Lawrence versus Texas, the court ruled that states cannot criminalize consensual sex between adults. It's like, yeah, who are you to tell adults what to do? That there should be more of these things, that you should not tell adults what to do. Get out of the bedroom. And this goes vice versa with women and their, that's another. Studying all the cases in which the Supreme Court has served this important anti-democratic role to protect our freedom would take years. Yeah, AOC's comments suggest that she thinks majoritarian support alone would be the criteria for a public policy's legacy. Yeah, she's dumb. The Congresswoman ought to reflect on this, given the fact that such horrors as slavery, segregation, and the denial of women's suffrage all once commanded huge majorities of public support. Women's suffrage, that's a lie. Women were in those roles because they had to. There wasn't a choice. All of this changed miraculously during the Industrial Revolution. That women were stuck inside the home and men were stuck outside, busting their backs. Farming, coal mining, whatever, was not easy work at all. And until we had all these machines come along, that's just the way that it was. It wasn't this. It was not this. It was absolutely not this. So slavery and segregation. Yeah, slavery's trash. Segregation, it depends. You know, segregation based off of your abilities, that's something different. So, it's like I don't want everyone to be a doctor just because. It's like, you're not doing surgery on me. No, I want you segregated off of your ability. And I want the best people who can do it to be doing that job. The very point of our Constitution is to establish between the different branches of our government a system of checks and balances so they keep each other from overreaching and violating our rights. That's right. By striking down laws that go beyond the constitutional bounds, the Supreme Court plays a vital role in keeping Congress in check. That's right. And they don't do it. Not anymore. Politicians can still pursue the mandate voters have given them. They may simply have to rewrite legislation or pursue alternate paths to comply with the Constitution. That's right. That's right. You want to change something, you have to do it through Congress. Not through the judges, not through the president, through Congress, the House and the Senate. That AOC seemingly thinks that the Supreme Court should rubber stamp anything she and her colleagues pass. Yeah, she's an idiot. Part of the problem is that politicians are not held accountable. So now I'm finally going to get into it. As to part of the problem is that, you know what? Anybody should be able to be a politician. Why the hell do these people not have to know what they're talking about? Okay, you got into office. Now you have to go educate yourself. There are so many jobs today where they have not just where you have to know what you're doing, but they have continuing education. What makes these jerks special? You know what? Whenever you win office, you know what the first thing is that you should go do? You should go take some government classes. How about some history over the U.S.? How about some law classes? If you won office in a city, then everything related to city politics and law and government and all that stuff, you should take some classes. If it's a state level, then government classes that deal with knowing what's going on at the state level, and same thing at the federal level. So someone like AOC who doesn't know what they're talking about, she got in. Okay, well, now you need to make sure that you are up to snuff. that you do know what the hell's going on. You can't do this with any other field. But let's continue with being a surgeon. You just can't go up and say, I'm going to be a surgeon today. Okay, great. Now you're going to go take some classes. And if you can manage it, great, congratulations, here you are. It should be exactly the same way. Here's the classes. You do have to pass. You can't be an idiot. You have to actually know what you're talking about. And if you can't even put in the work to pass, or if you don't have it up here to be able to pass, okay, well then no. No! No! You have equal opportunity, but that doesn't mean you have equal outcome. I don't want there to be equal outcome for someone who doesn't get it. Does AOC? She might. You know what? If she took some classes and she could, I don't see why she wouldn't be able to pass. I don't think. I think she's more ignorant than stupid. And I think they should also have to take continuing classes as well. That every year that they should have to retake some of these classes. Why not? What the hell's it gonna hurt? Is it such a bad thing that you're taking classes so that you're staying on top of it? That you're keeping all of this fresh in your mind? Oh, politicians, though. Aren't they special little snowflakes? So yeah, it's trash. It's clown world. I don't understand it. Rules for thee, but not for thee. Yeah, so good place to end it. Hope you've enjoyed. Hit the likes and the thumbs up. YouTube doesn't care if you agree with it or not. The only person that you're hurting is me and other content creators. If you really agree with them and you like what they're doing, do it. Show your support for them. You know, unless if they have something else besides YouTube, then go do that. Do something. So I hope that made sense. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time. Bye.